Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Throw something in the question box. Can you see the latest individual market updates? If you wouldn't mind, put something in the question box, verifying that you can see that. Okay. Let's stop and then restart. Okay, you guys should be able to see this now. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. Welcome, Jeff Beglin, Cornerstone. I'm the business development manager for the individual market. And today we're going to discuss the latest individual updates on the ACA. Yes, front and center in today's news. Okay. If you have a question, you'll put it in the question box and we'll monitor those throughout the presentation. I'm going to jump in periodically. Today's presentation should only be about 20 or 30 minutes. So in observance of your valued time, we're going to keep things relatively short, but I'm going to hit the high marks on the ACA stuff. And connect with us. So the individual market is myself and Carla Winfrey. I'm the business development manager. And my friend and colleague, Brad Procella, has is looking at a different opportunity these days. He's on the senior side of the market, and you'll find him up at Cornerstone Senior. But it's Carla and me, so a shout out to Carla. She's fantastic. She's our individual specialist. I call her the back office guru. All things related to commission issues, or you have customer service issues. We can dive into those with Carla and more. So be sure to reach out to her. That's her individual email box. Okay, so let's get started. And here's the agenda. Again, short and sweet. Going to go for about 30 minutes today. And I'm going to admit one person. Hey, Jill. Okay. So in the individual market, we've got a lot of things that have taken place this year. In particular, the final rule, and I'm just adding some more people coming into the lobby. So filing in, you haven't missed anything yet. So again, let's just be blunt in black and white terms. The pendulum is swinging in the other direction. We have a new administration. You're all well aware. One of the focuses of the new administration is to maybe shrink government to some degree, or shrink outlay towards things like Medicaid and ACA and Medicare and things like that. They're trying to find ways to save money. And to that end, they imposed some regulatory updates. These came over in June, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And then there's always the enhanced subsidies. That's topic number one these days, the headline in the news. It's the issue that is fundamentally causing the government shutdown that we're in right now. And I'm sure you're reading some of the headlines about that right now. The second item is going to be the discussion of the carrier marketplace updates. I've got some news to share with you, in particular their rate updates. We'll talk about those rate filings in Ohio. And then ultimately we'll talk about retention strategies. And then let me just check and see if I've got any questions at the moment. Okay, let's see here. Questions. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so Let's talk about the regulatory changes. This is also known as the final rule, and this came down in June and fundamentally changed the Affordable Care Act in many ways. So, they're looking at changing the start of open enrollment. They're going to shorten it to 6 weeks. But that does not start until next fall. Okay, it doesn't impact this current OEP, but next fall for the plan year 2027, OEP will be shortened to 6 weeks, the original 6 weeks, November 1st through December 15th. Right now, this year's OEP will run from November 1st through January 15th. So no change there. And I just want to let folks be aware of that. Another important change, and this has been imposed and this has taken place already, the special 150% FPL, special enrollment, has been eliminated. So in the aftermath of COVID and the bill that was called ARPA, they added a new SEP for folks under the 150% poverty level. And essentially, it was a year-round SEP for those folks. There was a lot of fraud and abuse, frankly, using that SEP. There were a lot of folks who were enrolled without their knowledge, and they fell in this this segment, this income level. And some estimates are that's in the several millions. 4 million is one estimate. So that SEP, along with some other things, some other tools, resulted in a lot of enrollments that were not authorized. Okay, so it was more than just the 150 FPL that caused this fraud, but it was one of the reasons. Okay, so that has been eliminated. Okay, I've got somebody jumping in. I want to let them in the lobby. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay, let Matt in. Okay. I have to do this because I just got one screen. Sorry, guys. And then the deferred action for child arrivals, that's known as DACA, DACA. DACA, that eligibility has been withdrawn as well. That was, an immigration item that was used to allow children who were from another country but were under a certain age to remain, in favorable immigration status, and they were eligible for ACA at that point in time, ACA subsidies and that sort of thing. But that has been curtailed and, if not eliminated, that took place this summer. Okay, but some other changes that were imposed but were paused recently due to court action was the DMI enforcement, in other words, the data matching enforcement. And what they were going to do was going to crack down on income statements, income verification. They're going to make that tighter for people. They're going to make that less of a guess, less of a just take my word for it. That's my income. They were going to require some documentation, but that was paused. Okay, that was a big thing. There was another item, the failure to report and reconcile taxes, and there was a grace period that was supposed to be reduced to just a year. Well, that was paused, so we're back to the 2-year, grace period on the failure to report. And lastly, the $5 auto renewal, probably the most controversial thing here. The $5 auto renewal for the zero premium clients, that was a big item, requiring your clients who were zero premium clients to pay at least $5, and then they would have that refunded to them. That's also been paused. And this is all, these last 3 items, these were all paused as a result of a court case, a federal court case that was tried in Maryland in August. It was the city of Columbus, believe it or not. It's the city of Columbus, Ohio versus Secretary Kennedy. There were other cities involved in that court action, including Baltimore and Chicago, but the judge ruled in favor of these cities. They felt these additional restrictions, the DMI, the failure to report, the $5 thing, these were going to cause undue stress on the cities and potentially cause a lot of uninsured and, as a result, um, economic strain on their um, uh, hospital systems and safety nets and that sort of thing. So that's been paused for the current OEP, so it won't affect OEP this fall. It could be reimposed next year, so it could affect SEPs and whatnot, as early as the winter. But for the time being, we don't have to worry about that. And I think a lot of agents are happy that the $5 auto renewal has been paused, because that was going to be, an issue. They're going to have to track down all these clients, even if folks weren't even replying to their emails, whatever. They needed to know about this, but that's been paused. So those are the regulatory changes. Let's take a moment and answer some of your questions. If you've got any comments. Okay. And anybody have any comments on this? Okay. Okay. All right. With that, we'll move along. Okay. And the next item is enhanced subsidies. Okay. At the outset, I mentioned there's an effort to streamline government spending, and that's been part and parcel to the new administration. And subsidies are not going away. It's the enhanced subsidies that could possibly be going away. The enhanced subsidies were implemented in 2021, during COVID, and they stayed even in the aftermath of COVID. And the idea was folks needed maybe a little extra help paying their premium because they might be struggling to find a job, et cetera. Now that we're back to basically full employment, the thought is these subsidies could be withdrawn. Well, as you can imagine, that's going to increase people's premium. The subsidies, the enhanced subsidies in particular, are sort of complex. They affected the people at the lower end, the people, in the 100%, 200% of poverty level. They were given additional benefits and lowered premium. And also the people at the upper end, the people that I talk about, who are cliff dwellers, the people that are traditionally not going to get a subsidy, but now they get one and it's pretty generous, and they've had that advantage for the last couple of years. Well, they could see that go away, and they might see their premiums jump quite a bit. And there's a knock-on effect with the withdrawal of the subsidies. The insurance carriers also realize they will have potentially a smaller pool to draw from, people not being insured, and insurers don't like that. As a result, they had to refile their rates, and they increased their rates. And so it impacts the premium several different ways. So the $64,000 question is, will Congress act on this? And I swear this is a topic that changes from day to day. And I would like to hear your input and like to hear what you're hearing out there. I've heard several things that, they won't act on the enhanced subsidies until the shutdown is concluded, or I've heard that they will enact the subsidies. They will, reinstate the subsidies both on, both parties, both houses of Congress. I'd like to hear your input, but there's several different things at play. Jeff Beglin speaking here, not Cornerstone, but I think it's inevitable that Congress will act and reimpose these enhanced subsidies because clients will see sticker shock when they see their bills come out later this month, and they don't want to be painted into a corner, particularly going into an election year. So my view is they will reinstate the enhanced subsidies, but that's just me speaking. Let's take a look and see what you guys are saying about that. Okay, so by all means, let's see your questions. I don't see anything out there yet. Okay. Oh, thanks, Uday. Okay. What if income is below the 100% poverty level? Yes, now that is a situation where they're Medicaid eligible. In fact, in Ohio, it's under 138%. And that's not changed. So if you're below 138% of the poverty level, that has not changed. And maybe you miscalculate your income and you're getting a subsidy, but your income was lower. Maybe you had a bad year, the crop was bad or something like that. And you go into Medicaid, the subsidy that you had collected will not be clawed back by the government. I wanted to point that out. But I do want to point out that if on the other end of the spectrum, let's say you were enjoying a subsidy and you had a better year than expected and you didn't need the subsidy, well, the government's going to claw back all that subsidy, and that'll come around at tax time. So that's an important. And any more, just want to see anybody else have any more comments. I appreciate you chiming in. It assures me that you guys are out there listening. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get on to the marketplace and what's going on. Okay, and this is a moving target because these carriers are tweaking their rates all the time. They actually refile them again in late September. So some carriers have refiled their rates for 2026 2 or 3 times already. So there is a lot of movement going on. What we know right now, okay, in Ohio, Aetna and AllCare are exiting the market. In Kentucky, CareSource, Molina are both exiting the market in by and large in the whole state. But Molina will stay in the Lexington area. Okay, that's central Kentucky, but Molina, by and large, is leaving the state. And in Michigan, we're seeing a big exit, okay? And this is Southeast Michigan or Detroit area for Ambetter. But okay, so let's go through that again. Michigan, the entire state is Aetna, CareSource, and Molina. Ambetter is leaving Southeastern Michigan. So as you know, Southeastern Michigan is the population center of Michigan. So some major exits taking place in Michigan. And if you guys have any comments about exits or carriers, let's hear them right now in the question box. Okay, have any questions about that? Okay. And let's take a look. Okay, thank you. Okay. DMI question, and I'm not sure who this came from, LP, but thank you, LP. DMI question: how does someone who is unemployed provide verification of income if their unemployment benefits have expired or if they never had unemployments? I'm going to get back to you on that, but what the government was doing was they had a form, and I can share that form with you. And there is a self-attestation form, and they were going to consider this as valid documentation. I'll share this form at the end of the presentation. To what degree they're going to enforce that, I'll get further detail on that, but it's good to have, and it's probably something you want to send in. So I'll share that form with you. Any more questions? Okay, this is your time to weigh in. Okay. New post, great. Okay, I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay, the chat feature is off, and Q&A evidently is not working for all persons on the call. Interesting. Okay. Sorry to hear that. By all means, if you can't get through on the Q&A, send me an email. I'm thankful for that, Jill. I'm getting some Q&A, but not all. Sorry to hear that. Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Oh, I got some new posts. Okay. Is DMI verification 90 plus 60? Yes. It was going to go just to 90, but they have allowed for that 60-day grace because of Kennedy versus City of Columbus. Okay, so thanks, Chris. Separating fact from fiction here, and we want to try to debunk this or discuss this a little bit. Someone on Facebook posted something, so take it for what it's worth, and that's Molina is not paying commission on marketplace plans. Have you heard anything? No, I'm not aware of that, and my discussions with Molina were positive, and they indicated there would be commission. So I'm not privy to that, and I just want to point out we do have some webinars coming up, and you can ask that question with the folks at Molina, okay? And that's going to be next Wednesday at 9:30, okay? So we got several on the docket, so come join us for that Molina presentation next Wednesday at 9:30, and we will pose that question to them. And okay, are you guys still having trouble with the question? Please keep trying that question. I'm getting more questions now. Has Cornerstone put together a list of network hospitals that each carrier accepts? We will do that. It's too early to tell. I still have not had the broker road shows with 4 of my carriers. So that remains to be seen. And only one carrier has listed their hospital systems, and that's Oscar. So we're going to compile a comprehensive list of Ohio hospitals, even some carriers that I don't market. So I want to make this comprehensive. And so more to come on that. You'll see that come out in late August, or sorry, late October. Someone is pinging me. Okay, sorry about that. Someone's in the waiting room. Okay, I'll let Carrie in. Okay, fantastic. Okay, again, keep firing away those questions. And I love this. I love the questions. This is the favorite part of the presentation. Any carriers provider network being enhanced or getting better for Ohio? It's a tight year. There are some improvements. For example, Oscar is adding Kettering, and I believe Antidote will be offering Mercy. Don't quote me on that. I'll have more to that later on this month. But I know Oscar's adding Kettering, which was huge, and then I believe Antidote is adding some down here in Southern Ohio. Michelle asked, you heard from CareSource webinar Tuesday that their sources in DC said don't count on subsidies returning. Wow. You mean the enhanced subsidies? Just to clarify, everybody's going to get the subsidies are still going to be there. That's the law, but it's the enhanced subsidies. That's the clarification there, and that would be a bummer if they don't come back. But again, personally, I think they will come back. Granted, when you have somebody, one of those higher income persons getting a subsidy, they could see their renewal increase 200 to 300%. I've seen that already. So we'll get to some strategies on how to deal with that. I think, though, my belief is that they'll do that. More questions, please send them my way. Okay. If you can't get through, send the email to me later and I'll get to that. Just want to look in the Q&A and just see if there's anything out here. And then I'll get right back to, okay. All right. My apologies for this not working properly. Okay, so let's get back to the presentation. Just a couple more slides here. So that's the musical chairs, and this is the wow factor. Guys, this is a list that I compiled in August. And we know that new filings have come in September. And as a result, the carriers had some leeway here. The rate change, on the lower end was this percentage, on the upper end was this percentage. So I think it's safe to say that with all the refilings, that the carriers are probably looking towards the upper end here. You look at some of these, like Buckeye, which is Ambetter, they initially posted 27.25. That's a whopper. Now, in all likelihood, it's closer to 30%. Okay. You're wondering what's the difference between Buckeye Community and Buckeye Health? Okay, Buckeye Community is, the everyday Ambetter that we've had the last 10 years. So Buckeye Health is the ICRA off exchange. Okay, that's the off exchange channel. Okay. And I don't anticipate them to have risen as much, but it's still a pretty significant increase, 25%. Okay, then we look at CareSource. Not as dire, but still, you can count on something close to 17 to 20%. Community, we all know that that's Anthem. Everybody, Anthem. Community Mutual is Anthem, and my indication is they're going to be around 20%. They have the largest book in Ohio, to my knowledge, and I think they're going to be somewhere around 20%. I hope not that they're going to 30%, but my indication is 20%. And then Medical Health Insurance Corp of Ohio, that's MedMutual, and on down the line, you can look at the rest of these. I don't know why West Virginia's in here, but I guess some people in Southeastern Ohio might use the health plan. And then UHC, 20 to 40%. So there you have it, folks. That's the sad news about subsidies. Let's take a look at the questions as they come in. And I really, really appreciate all of your input. I can't thank you enough. Questions, comments, anything you've heard, any concerns you might have. Do you guys have a lot of the cliff dwellers, the people at the upper end of the income level enjoying a subsidy now, but won't come January 1st? Let's talk about that. Okay. So let's see. Okay. And then as we wind down in the presentation, I know you're all asking, how do you protect your book? What do you do? Okay. How do you prepare your clients for open enrollment? Okay. I'm going to switch gears now. I'm going to just pop something up here on Health Sherpa. Okay. And I wanted to point out some enhancements that they've put together for Health Sherpa. And hopefully you guys can see this. Okay. And Health Sherpa is going to be your ace in the hole, as it were. So I encourage all of you guys to, first of all, use an enhanced direct enrollment platform like Sherpa. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just using them because they're the most popular. But you must be enrolling your clients on something like this. That's, a part and parcel of the training we all did for the FFM. They want you guys on one of these enhanced direct enrollment platforms. So, there's a little bit of a barrier between the agent and, the verification of the client. That's why. And so the new product update log describes what's going on. And first and foremost, they have some follow-up tasks. But I wanted to scroll down here on what you can do to engage with your clients. They now have a new feature where you can send a bulk email out to your clients about their updated information, intake form that they can fill out and get ready for renewal. And you also can go out to Health Sherpa and renew your clients out there. There's a renew button next to your client's name in Sherpa. You can call me and we can walk you through that. And that enables you to do a renewal quote renewal for your clients. So I think that's a great idea. Okay, so and lastly with Sherpa, you can look at the FFM. Okay, I wanted to point something out about the FFM integration, and they point this out. It used to be 30 minutes. Now they reverted it back to 12 minutes or 12 hours. 12 hours for that. Okay, so enough of Health Sherpa. Contact me if you have more questions about that. I'm going to get back to the presentation. Again, if you're having any questions about the presentation, let me know. And do that in the question box. Okay, so we want to spend special attention to those cliff dwellers. Now, Health Sherpa has a nice feature. You'll be able to go in and look at those clients who are getting huge renewals. Okay, you'll be able to, there's a way to filter for that. So you'll be able to see that and you'll be able to identify those people getting those whopper increases. Okay, and I can't stress enough, use Health Sherpa to dive into your book of business and engage with your clients on these renewals. So let's talk about what you can do for these renewals. So one aspect of the big, beautiful bill that came through this summer was they made all bronze plans HSA eligible. So I think this will be the year of bronze. Obviously, bronze is the lowest premium plan out there, and you'll want to consider using a bronze plan if they're looking to save money, in particular, an HSA plan. The HSA plans, as you're well aware, have 3x tax benefits, tax-free earnings, I'm sorry, tax-free savings, and then tax-free earnings on the HSA account, and then it's tax-free at withdrawal. So it's kind of like a medical IRA. I can't stress enough, you're looking into an HSA. Okay, call me if you have a greater discussion about that needed. And finally, I want to point out that short-term is an option again. Allstate has jumped back in the ring with 12-month plans. Actually, you can do two 12-month plans with one application. And Allstate is the first one to do that. We're waiting on UHC, actually UH1, to follow suit. We'll have more on that. And they should have a decision here in the next couple of weeks on whether or not they're going to go back to 12-month. Now, if you're out of state, if you're in Kentucky, you can do a 3-year plan with Allstate, and I believe that's the case for Indiana. But Ohio, if things revert to where they were, it'll be a 12-month plan. And right now you can do that with Allstate. So let me take a pause and see if you've got any questions, any comments. Okay. Okay. Right. Your questions greatly appreciated. Okay. You can't see the presentation. Okay. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see that now? Okay. Okay. So Eric, I hope you can see that now. Okay. Okay. So Centene. Question about Centene. Centene is financially sound. I spoke to Centene this last week, and alluded to the fact, that they were struggling with these rate increases, but I, you know, I believe they're going to be here for the long run. They're the largest ACA carrier in the country. They've made some changes. They've addressed these issues. They're paying commission. All of these things have been communicated to me. So we're going to do a training with them tomorrow at 3 p.m. So join us and ask your questions then. So Centene is another name for Ambetter. So full speed ahead for Ambetter. And thanks, Jody. Thanks, Rick. And really kind of winding down here. I wanted to get your final comments, considerations. This is the 11th year of the ACA. Okay, and by far this has been the most upheaval that I've seen, even more so than 2017. And I think we just need to keep our ears to the ground. If you're passionate like me about the health of the ACA, you can contact your legislators. And, I think it'll be around for a long, long time. They need to make some changes. There has been a fair amount of fraud and abuse, and they need to address that, and I fully applaud that. And I like what they're doing with the income verification and maybe curtailing some of these SCPs. What do we tell clients concerned about the government shutdown and subsidies? Okay, so it is a fact that subsidies will be here. The government shutdown has nothing to do with that. The government shutdown has to do with the enhanced subsidies. And granted, Melinda, that is a huge thing, and that could impact these premiums. And but I think the consensus is that they'll somehow try to do something, reimpose this. They don't want to see the drop off in the enrollment. Now we're at a high water mark, 24 million. With all these new rules and all the new implementation, trying to eliminate all the unauthorized enrollments, okay, that'll pull back to 20 million. Okay. And maybe with some of these increases and things like that, that'll pull back a little bit more. So I don't think we'll return to where we were 10 years ago, where we were at 14 million. So I got to believe that everybody in Congress will, do the right thing and provide some kind of enhanced subsidy. Maybe not the current, configuration, but I think there will be something. So I wish I had, magic wand that can assure all your clients that it's going to be there come November 1st. But I think we just stay tuned and stay engaged. And if this really means something to you, you should reach out to your legislator. You can reach out to the national legislators and also reach out to the state legislators. They have a lot of say in this as well. So with that, I'm going to kind of wind things down. I do have time for a couple more questions. Everybody will get a copy of this presentation. And okay, will Ambetter have its ACA travel benefit in 2026? I'm not sure. I'm not aware of any really great ACA travel. Oh, you must be thinking about the traveling across state lines. They call that an EPO. Okay, it's a little better than an HMO. It's, what do they call that? I forget the word. It's a type of, it's a situation where you can use their out-of-state providers. So you can go in Indiana and use the Ambetter hospitals over there by utilizing their Premier network. That's their calling card. I don't see that going away. I don't see that going away. I posed that question to one of the reps. That shouldn't be going away. Stay tuned again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Ambetter will be on the docket right here on the individual corner, so you can post that question to them at that point in time. Okay, new post. I love it. More questions. Is it reciprocity? Can you clarify? Are you talking about Ambetter again? Okay, I think you're talking about Ambetter. Yeah, Ambetter has that. I forget what the E stands for, the EPO, where you can cross state lines and use in-network hospitals and providers. You look it up in the book. And there's a little bit of a conversation you have to have with those out-of-state providers. You need to tell them you're with Ambetter, Centene. You might call them, they might be called something else in that state, like Celtic or Sunshine, but they're all part of the Ambetter family, and they should all be on the same page. Okay. Okay. And any more questions? Okay. Very good. And I am thrilled that you guys could join me today. I so love doing these homegrown webinars. And this is where I get to engage with you personally and just kind of give a candid and transparent discussion of the ACA market. And one more question. Is the rate filings chart inclusive of all markets or just the ACA market? It's now on that link, and I'll go back to it right now. Okay, I'll scroll back to that. Okay. And it's called ratereview.healthcare.gov. I click on it. I'm not sure if you guys will see it, but it's a rate review and it applies to the ACA compliant products and transitional student plans. So it just has to do with the Affordable Care Act and some other minor markets. It doesn't have to do with the short-term market. It doesn't have to do with the group market or even the off-exchange market. Well, Ambetter does their off-exchange separately, but it doesn't really have to do with the off-exchange market. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Great. Fantastic. I really appreciate everybody joining me today. Super duper job with engagement. And send your questions, your comments to me on my email, and I'll pull that up real quick. And there we are. Love to hear your comments, and I failed to mention, if you need to get appointed with any of our carriers, please let me know. Antidote, for example, is the new kid on the block, and I wanted to point out that they are doing a great job, and I want to avail that to you, my Cornerstone agents. Antidote, they're statewide, and I can tell you more about that. They're going to be doing a training with us next week on the 15th at 2 p.m. And so we've got 4 webinars coming up. One tomorrow at 3 p.m. with Ambetter, and then next Wednesday, 9:30 with Molina, and 2 p.m. with Antidote. That's Wednesday the 15th. And then finally, the 16th, Anthem will be joining us. So more to come on that. And I'm just seeing if anybody has any more questions. Okay. As people file out, I really appreciate all your time, guys.